From Lalate News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on Lalate.
It's a big day of Lalate, direct and live from Santa Monica, California, with Holidays Lalate. In this recording, in the first half of this recording, we'll go over the breaking news as world markets react to a new COVID strain. And that forced stimulus check update of 2021, it takes a new turn because of this news. The forced stimulus check update is that the recon is off to the Senate from the House, but now a sense of urgency to get this done sooner than later, with the senators out vowing to add more checks. And that was before even the breaking news about that new strain out of South Africa. Then we'll be turning to the big money under third stimulus that is available across the board after fourth stimulus gets to the battleground. Fourth stimulus has lots of checks to get to you in that incredible recon, but get ready for third stimulus because it's still paying money out the door. We'll be turning to student loan debt forgiveness, $10,000 will be offered across the board and are on the table. The Democrats should take it, and then that fifth stimulus COLA raise. Those details and more, but as the title says, this is Holidays Lalate, and in this recording we go over two things for the holiday season. First, we bring on camera the wonders of beads and what beads can bring to that holiday decor, along with both glass beads and actual Mardi Gras beads. A lot of wonderful holiday decor you can do with them. I'll go over the instruments you want to bring to the tree park. When you're about to buy that tree, what instrument should you bring, and what instrument should you have ready as soon as the tree comes back home? I'll have some of your comments from yesterday's video about how to decorate. I'll have those comments on air. And as always, I'll be jumping into the live chat to interact with you, to go over your holiday thoughts and wishes across the board. It's a big, bold, beautiful day. I'm excited you're here. We're live on air, direct from Santa Monica, California. And this, my friends, is Holidays Lalate. And good day. I hope everyone is doing wonderful. Here we are live and direct from Santa Monica, California on the latest updates about your stimulus. The House of Representatives passed that incredible recon that's now in the Senate. And the senators vow to add more checks on top of that. Let's go over those checks right off the board. We had said $15,000, but the number's looking much higher, maybe upwards of $50,000 to $60,000 of checks before the senators add checks in there. Let's go over those checks and that MSC, and we start right now. About $15,000, but you're going to see very quickly the number may actually be even higher. Cluster number one, pass, and they got in their hazard pay. That's for the essential workers. One more year of those checks. They got the $4,000 of elder care money in there. That is a 1-year check front end. $4,000 to care for young children. Then they got the Pell Grant $500 checks to the college students. Then They also got in there the money to repair the home. If you live in a low income community, it is free money. They got in there the CTC, the child tax credit, which is money for young children. And then they got $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. And as you see on Afternoons LA coming up after this video, that check is literally for you when you go buy the car. It's not a back end check. Wow. The first add-on comes from the wonderful, illustrious Maxine Waters from Los Angeles. The legislator in the House got in a provision to give you free money to buy your first home. This is cash to the seller in your name during escrow. She wanted $25,000. She got a little bit numbered a little bit less. And again, that is money from you to the seller given by the federal government. And it's huge. It is cash. Then they got in the second cluster, home repairs paid leave. They also got in there the pre-kindergarten and also the household tax credit. The home repairs is, in this case, weatherizing your home. Weatherizing your home is for hurricane areas, natural disaster zones like tornado areas. That's big money. All income qualifications are on board for that one, not just low income. The second add-on comes from the wonderful Bob Casey. The senator got that provision in there, which is $250 billion. No, a little bit less. He didn't get that price point. He wanted $250. It is for free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. The third cluster of checks that they got in there is a lot, and this is really where it becomes deliciousness. In this third cluster, they got checks for seniors, checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for independent contractors, checks for workers, and the Medicare expansion checks. Now, this shows you the dynamic of the House versus the Senate, because guess what? The House members got two Medicare expansion checks in there, but the senators want to add three more. What did they get in there so far on the House? They got in there hearing aid, and then they got in there the Medicaid gap states. The Medicaid gap states refers to the offering now in this recon of insurance to people who are uninsured in 12 Republican holdout states where they didn't want to pay for Obamacare. Now they'll offer private insurance that'll be for low-income people at lower premiums. Very incredible provision. They got in their hearing, which is for a hearing aid, but the senators vowed to add three other provisions in there. And this is how it tees up those additional senator checks. First, Bernie wants to add in there lowering the eligibility age of Medicare. It's currently 65. He wants to drop it to 55. Bob Casey wants to do it at 60. Number two, Bernie wants to add in there dental. He previously had it in there at 10 years of full benefits, then 3 years of full benefits. I think the 3 years works. And last was in there, however, as an $850 check. That does not work because it's not enough money. Finally, Bernie wants to do vision in there, and vision would be money for a prescription and a pair of frames per year. Now, that is one of many senator checks that are going into this recon, because guess what they say? They say it's a good recon, but there's major gaps. That's their actual language. And those gaps include lots of other checks. And among those other checks could be that multiple stimulus check provision. MSC IRS. The Democratic senators have told viewers of this channel since the month of May, thousands of viewers, that they are adding in that MSC. And the last 7 days, 3 of them repeated again. Who are those senators? Casey Coons, Warren Wyden, Sandra Schumer have said they're going to put an MSC in there. And the provisions that they're looking at, they have said last as $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months total with the same income qualifications as third stimulus. The third stimulus income qualifications were $75,000 or less. You got a stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 or less. You got it. Double it. Family of 4, quadruple it. You got it. Beneficiaries like SSI and SSDI, Social Security, you got it. And adult dependents, you got it as well. They vowed to do the same thing, but it's important for you to advocate for that inclusion of that MSC. Now, the other provisions they've added in there on top of these checks that are new recent add-ons have been the SALT cap. You'll now be able to deduct over $70,000 on your tax return, federal tax return, of what you pay in state and local taxes. The current cap was $10,000. Number two, they got thousands of dollars in there for paid leave. How much is this? 75,000 or less, 75,000 or more, you would get $1,700 a week. $35,000 or more, you would get $800 a week. $15,000 or more annual salary, you would get $400 a week. How many weeks? 4 weeks. Yes. So that's $5,000 to $6,000 across the board on the high end. It's a lot of money. Now, if you do not work, don't fret, because if you live with someone that does and they take care of you, they're going to get the check for the household, which includes you. Case in point, you have a son or daughter you live with, and they take you to the doctor's office once a week. They have to take off from work. Now they're going to get that check on behalf of the whole family. And that check is a lot of money. And that check is incredible. And that is paid leave. We also have, under this fourth stimulus recon, the repeat of provisions from third stimulus. And those are rent, utilities, food, and mortgage assistance. Now, the new provisions in the recon that are just to this recon are the weatherizing your home, the home repairs, and also the first-time home purchases. But the repeated provisions from third stimulus are rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. The great news is you don't have to wait to get that money. You can get it right now under third stimulus. How do you get it? It's covered up. It's covered in the next video coming up, which is the afternoon show. I'll show you how to get your bills paid today for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, food, and more. Student loan debt forgiveness, meantime, could come its own track and could come as early as next week. A $10,000 offer on the table. The president's offered to forgive $10,000 of student loan debts for all students. He previously forgave student loan debts for people who became disabled after graduation, people who went to work in the public sector 10 years after graduation, and people who went to work in the nonprofit sector 10 years after graduation. This stimulus also heating up in January. It raises your benefits up if you are on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple benefits. Then it applies a new benchmark, and that new benchmark will be applied in December 2022. This follows the 5.9% increase you're going to get already under law, starting January 1. So your benefits are going to go up 5.9% under COLA. Then they look to raise you 2 more times thereafter under fifth stimulus. Remove the asset cap as well, remove the income cap as well, and remove the marriage penalty as well. And love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. Finally, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The membership link is under this video, and it features the big money under first, second, and third stimulus for you to get. The members are detailed in that newsletter, incredible information about how to get your bills paid right now for those subject matters. It features the 6 places you reach out to for the rent, the 5 nonprofits, the keywords you say when picking up the phone and calling, and the money from Treasury that has been reallocated for rent that you want to read about before you make those phone calls. Consider becoming a member today. And in the second half of this video, boy, we got some excitement. We'll be looking at how to dress up the holiday decor with beads. Yes, how glass beads and even Mardi Gras beads deliver fun, fanciful, and very simplistic ways of decorating with no strain whatsoever. It's a great way to decorate for a person who doesn't have a lot of time and wants to get something done quickly and easily. A blink of an eye and it's done. I'll show you how to do it. Then, what instruments should you bring to the tree park when preparing to get that tree bought and preparing to get the tree brought into the house? I'll go over the key instruments you should have. Then I have some comments from a viewer as to our video earlier this week about panettone and also decorating. Those details and more coming up at the commercial break. But first, here's a little bit about the community page on helping you get those sums of money for third stimulus. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Holidays LA continues.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate.
And the excitement continues right now at noontime, direct from Santa Monica, California. During the commercial break, I actually pinned one of the viewers' comments, which I don't think I've ever done, especially not during a live broadcast. Why did I pin the comment? Because it was a great comment. What was the comment? If you're in the live chat, you can now see it pinned. It came from Janet Carman, and she says, L8, I called Schumer, which is Chuck Schumer, the majority leader of the Senate, and I called his office right before Thanksgiving, and the rep said Bernie is still adding a fourth stimulus payment, still advocating and making the calls on the recon until it's law. Very well said there. So everyone that sees Janet Carman in there, that is the power of advocating. Chuck Schumer is one of the most important people to advocate to. Donnie and Donnie's wife has advocated to Chuck Schumer several times and have been told the same message several times right in the last 2 weeks. So pick up the phone and advocate. And with that, we go into our holiday decor. Beads. You don't have a lot of time to decorate. You're on you work a lot, or you're just a very busy person. What is the easiest way to decorate a table around the house for the holiday season in just 10 seconds? Beads. Glass beads, Mardi Gras beads. Someone in the live chat said at the commercial break, can I have your beads? No, I have to have them for the show today. So here we go. We have a very simple plate that you would maybe have on your dining room table. And in that plate has two types of glass beads and then some Mardi Gras beads. The glass beads are beautiful cobalt blue. I don't even know if I can hold it up. So let me just hold up the dish a little bit. There you go. Cobalt blue beads. And then we have some sort of light green beads. Beautiful color dichotomy. And then we also have some dice Mardi Gras beads. Now notice it's the same color tones as the green beads. The reason why I like beads for decorating is it's so simple. It's as basic as you can get, but boy, it's about as beautiful as you can get. Now, glass beads, it depends on where you get them. If you get them at a high-end store, they could be pricey. If you get them at a 99-cent store, they could be at 99 cents. They could literally, glass beads don't cost them much money to make. So do not think that you should spend any money. When we go to Mardi Gras beads, very, very cheap, and get them in the same color tone. So what do I recommend? I recommend don't go crazy on your colors. I always call it clown colors. Don't do clown colors for the holidays. Figure out a color scheme and stay with it. So for example, let's say you have one table you want to do the beads on. Just go with one or two colors. That's it. Don't do 5 or 6 colors. They don't have to be red. They don't have to be green. Here you just have the blue and the green. And guess what? If you're super, super lazy, these colors, because they are not holiday-ish colors, they're not Christmas-related colors, can be staying out there year-round. And this dish could stay on the table year-round and just as festive all the year-round. Then when considering the beads, why do I like it? Because it's so simple. You just open it up, pour it in a dish, and get it done. You want to use dishes that the viewer can actually see the beads the best. So flat or with a sort of a concave opening. So if you're walking by, you look in and you say, oh, how simple, how beautiful. And that's the beauty of beads. I've done a lot on beads in the 2020 show of Holidays LA. Showed you how you can dress it up with very eclectic beads. The good thing with also the strand beads is that it doesn't have to be in a bowl, doesn't have to be in a plate. It can literally be on the table and just sort of meandering through items. So I do like strand beads a lot. But the glass beads, really great. Now, interesting is that these beads, ironically, in this dish are a little bit dusty. And so you want to make sure you take the beads out, put them in a strainer, run some water over them, pat them down with a dry towel, and then you'll get the better effect, because when the light hits them, you want them to be clean. Otherwise, it won't reflect the light as much. Next, when going to the tree park, what should you bring to prepare for the big undertaking of choosing the tree? Now, there are some very lazy people out there that have people do the tree stuff for them. That has never been me. But I like to bring certain instruments with me to the tree park. This is me from the 2020 version of this channel's Holidays LA, when I literally went to the tree park. And what do I bring to the tree park? And what do I bring, have ready after the tree is coming back home? It's very important to have this ready and this information for you right now, because guess what? In yesterday's video, I said Thanksgiving weekend is a good weekend to buy the Christmas tree. All right, at the tree park, I bring two instruments. First, a scissor, and second, a tape measure. Now, why a scissor? I like a scissor because if you're at the tree park, lots of the trees are usually wrapped up. They're wrapped up and you're just standing there, as I was in that picture, and you can't tell if it's a good tree. It's just, let's be very frank about it. I mean, just look at it. You see behind me are all these trees that are wrapped up. How do you choose a tree? You can't tell if it's good. Is it deformed? Is it out of shape? Is it lopsided? I can't tell. They're wrapped up with that tree wrapping, and they get off the train and they put them on the truck, and then they just throw them there, and you don't know if it's good. Meantime, you're standing around. You're looking for someone in the store to help you open up the tree so you can take a look, and you can't find that guy or gal. Don't worry. Just get the scissor out of your pocket, bring it with you, and cut. And that is the best. That is the only way to really figure out if this is the right tree. What do you do before you cut? I first choose trees before I cut the strand based upon height and width. And width, you can tell by looking at it. Does it look really skinny? Then if it looks skinny, it's not a full tree. You want a full tree. You want a tree that is very rotund, fat, broad. So you don't want a tree that looks sort of skinny on its face. Second, if it feels heavy, it's a good indication that it's a very full tree. If it feels very light, it's a bad indication that maybe it doesn't have a lot of thickness to it. You want a thick tree because when it's thick, it means it broadly goes out. If it's thin, it means it goes very narrow, and it's going to look like it's sort of an anorexic tree. Second, height. You can visualize height, but you really can't ballpark it. And you can't. You just cannot ballpark height on a tree. So what I always do is before I leave, I take the tape measure and I go to the room that the tree is going to go, and I measure the height of the tree. Now, you do not want the tree to be the height of the room. That's sort of obvious. So if the room, let's say, is 9 feet tall, you don't want the tree to be 9 feet tall. I mean, that's sort of obvious. How high should the tree be in respect to the room? Well, it depends on you, because if you have a tree that, if you're 6 feet tall and you have a tree that's 8 feet, you're gonna have a step ladder. Now, do you want a step ladder or a full ladder? You don't want a full ladder in your house, so don't get a tree that's too tall. Definitely space out the height of the tree in respect to how tall you want to be on a step ladder, how tall you want in the room perspective to the height, and get that measurement in your mind before you leave to go to the tree park. So for example, let's say it's an 8 foot tall room and you're 6 feet tall, then certainly the 7 foot tall tree would work, because it's just a step ladder, 1 foot up on a step ladder. That's very easy. That's an easy no-brainer. Then when you're at the tree park and you're eyeing those trees, what do? You take out that tape measure And first, at this point, you would have already eliminated the trees that are not heavy enough, not wide enough, not broad enough. And then you say, okay, these trees are potential candidates. Let me measure the height. When measuring the height, you don't have to be very literal about it. Just hold the tree and put the tape measure on the ground all the way to the top of the very top of that piece of wood that they leave at the top. That is part of the height. Do not measure to just the green part of the tree because, yeah, that little stick where the angel goes on top, that could be an extra foot or half a foot. You don't want to not measure that part. And measure it and then say, wow. You'll see the reaction right off the board when you measure it because you will be shocked. In that shot where I was, you had a price point. It says something like 6 to 7 foot tall trees, this price point. Guess what? You could look and suddenly realize, wait a second, they're all like literally 6 feet tall trees. And then there's only like 2 that are really close to 7 feet. You want to get your bang for your buck. So if you want a 7 foot, if your sizing in the house is 7 feet, then get it as close to 7 feet. Here's another trick of the trade. The tree parks divide them by spacing, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. Doesn't mean you have to go in the 7 to 8 to get the 7 foot tree. You can go in the 6 to 7 to get the 7 foot tree. It's really that important. Then once you find the tree with the height, with the width, the weight, and the weight is just you're holding in your hands, it just feels heavy, then time to cut. The scissor, or if you have like a knife, like a Swiss Army knife, the way you cut, just hold the tree and go straight up on the red line, on the red wrapper. Don't go diagonal because it's not going to open. It's not going to cut up. You just go right at the bottom and go straight up, cut, straight up, and immediately it'll just open up. You don't have to take off all the wrapper. You just need to see enough of the tree, and then you'll know that it's the one. Remember, there was an old law passed in the United States. I don't know. I think it was in the 1980s that said any merchant must, under the law, allow you to open the product before you buy it. So if a merchant says you can't open the wrapper on the tree before you buy it, that merchant's not following the law. Go somewhere else. Every merchant has to allow you to be able to open up and see the tree. All right, next. You're bringing the tree home. What is the next instrument to have ready? It's a wrench. And it doesn't have to be a plumber's wrench, but it should be some type of wrench like this. Why? It's for that tree base. Those tree bases generally have those metal hinges that stick out that you tighten on the sides. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. The right way is to, first of all, prepare it by oiling it down with a little bit of WD-40 ahead of time. WD-40 is that lubricant. It's metal, so it tightens up in a you're not using over the year. Spray it before you even use it, and then spray it first, and then just go back and forth a little bit on those metal knobs. Next, when you get the tree in a position, you have to tighten those knobs. And when you're towards the end of tightening, the wrong way to do it is just to stop. And you're like, okay, my hand can't take anymore. I'm stopping. Oh, guess what's going to happen? The tree's going to fall. Yeah, the tree's going to fall. The tree's going to fall because you just sort of doing it by the hand, twisting the thing by the hand. And you're like, I can't tighten anymore. My hand hurts. Well, the tree is going to fall. Then your head's going to hurt when the tree falls on you. So that is why I always use a wrench. Don't hurt your hand. You can use the wrench the entire time. Twist and tighten the tree. Fit it into the shape in which, into the width of whatever it is. Tighten, and then go ahead and start tightening. You're going to get about 5 to 20 more circular twists with the wrench that you're not going to give your hand. And that tree never falls. Trust me. Years ago, I didn't use a wrench, and the tree was tipsy all year long, all Christmas holiday. Not a good look. When you use the wrench, that tree literally is going nowhere. It's going nowhere. You can push on the tree, wiggle the tree, it ain't gonna fall when you have it wrenched and tightened in there. And there you go. Earlier this week, we detailed on episode 1 of Holidays LA's 2021 edition, panettone. Panettone is a wonderful holiday treat for eating, and it originates from Italy. It's an Italian dessert given for Thanksgiving, given for Christmas, also given for Easter and New Year's Eve. And I said to viewers, what do you do when buying panettone? How do you serve it? Let's look back at that episode and
by
then
what's
hear
on the
some of your
top.
comments.
These are harder to get by, and they don't necessarily cost more. They're just harder to find. Those is when they have a crusting on the top. Real deliciousness. The crusting can be a white crusting or a chocolate crusting or other variations. That is where you're going to see a much different, big difference. The chocolate inlay or the crusting on the top is clearly a dessert item.
And there you go. So since that episode aired, the wonderful viewer Anne sent me some messages about what she does with her panettone. Very fascinating. And it shows you how different panettones you can do different things with. She says, my favorite recipe for panettone is I love the one with the dry fruit. It's perfect amount of dry food. I like to make French toast out of my panettone. Now, very funny because I said to Anne in private message, I said, wait a second. The panettone with the dry fruit that I buy is so moist, it just sort of falls apart in your hand. She says, no, the one she buys is so dry that you can like cut it like a piece of toast. So it shows you, I did not even realize that they sell that type of dry. You don't want to be buying dry panettone. That is not a good look. First of all, that's not the way panettone is supposed to be. It's supposed to be very moist. Number 2, if you bought it dry, take it back. Number 3, it could be stale if it's dry, or it may have expired past shelf life. But needless to say, if you happen to have just dry panettone around, well, she makes fresh toast out of it and drizzles it with chocolate and a side of fruit and homemade cake and fresh flowers. Now, if you do have the fresh panettone, you can also dry it out by putting it in the toaster oven shortly. In that same episode, I talked about using oyster shells as a theme on your holiday table and stuffing them with items or food or messages. And, you could certainly stuff them with beads, with holiday beads, as shown in this episode. So what does Anne do with her oysters? She says, I love your idea for clam or oyster shells. For the shells, I love to try a creme brulee sort of. Place a square of decadent homemade flan in their spoon of thin caramelized brown sugar sauce in the shell. Then brulee some sugar on top of that for the flan for a nice sparkle and texture. Top it with a tiny sprig of mint and a pop of color. Nestle shells on a platter of crushed ice and rock salt. Lastly, sprinkle ice with some whole red peppercorns. Ooh, the red peppercorns, very interesting. That was also at the top of my head. Now, there's an oyster shell I would adore. Sounds really good. She just came off of that on the top of her head. The rock salt is fascinating. And that is just, she came up with that on the top of her head, but I love the rock salt suggestion. Why? If you ever go into a restaurant and you buy oysters or a meal of oysters and they bring it to you on a sea of rock salt, what does rock salt look like? It looks like snow. It looks like icy snow. So I do not know the price point of rock salt, if it's expensive or if I'm recommending something that's very price conscious. But rock salt on a table for the holidays would create an incredible amount of decor. It also has to be very careful because we'll make a mess if anyone knocks at any time throughout the evening. Let me jump into the live chat with you right now, and the questions I want to ask today are: first, what quick decorating tricks do you use during the holiday season? In this video, we're talking about the beads and how that can be a very quick holiday decorating trick. What quick holiday decorating tricks do you use? And also, when buying and setting up a Christmas tree, what other instruments you may use that I didn't cover in this video as well? Jump on the live channel, I'll feature your comments right now. My tree is a 7.5. So wow, Lynn Glen has a 7.5 tall foot tree. Then let's see some of the other comments. What is a panettone? So a panettone is a bread dessert that originates from Italy. It is baked and it is sweet. It's like a sweetbread. And it comes in different variations, featured in the first episode of Holidays LA just 2 days ago on this channel. And it can come in the chocolate inlay, or the raisin fruit, dried fruit is the traditional one. The A lot of people are talking about what I spoke about on the Mornings LA show today. Yes. And I'm going to be featuring that on the afternoons and evening show tonight, the 3 o'clock and the 5 o'clock. There is a new strain that has been identified for COVID out of Africa. It was featured also minutes before on this broadcast on the Mornings Crypto Show. This new strain is a risk that the financial markets did not anticipate. And the new strain is very different. Why? Because in the case of Delta, it has 2 mutations. The new African strain has 10 mutations. It resulted in these countries of England blocking at least 5 different countries from any travel into the UK, and those countries include South Africa and I believe it was Botswana. I don't know if I have I do have my notes in front of me. The countries are South Africa, Lesotho, Botswana, Namibia, Eswatini, and Zimbabwe. And the comment from the chief executive in charge of this issue in the UK, Jenny Harry, says, "This is the most significant variant we have encountered to date, and urgent research is needed to determine its severity across the board." Wall Street was down 1,000 points right upon the news and has stayed down. And crypto crashed nearly 10% and is staying down. This is a evolving story. And the detail covered on this channel as it impacts you is that there's new sense of urgency, if there wasn't before early in this week, to get the recon done fast and quickly because of this new strain. So Bob Bacon says, artificial tree is still decorated and covered in the garage, waiting to bring it in the house. Bob Bacon with the artificial tree. Bob, is the artificial tree in the Bob Bacon house a bacon tree? Let's see some of the other comments. Anne says, I love cutting paper snowflakes and hanging them from the ceiling. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. That sounds wonderful. Sandy says, dollar store, and I'm not very creative but I love singing. Singing is great. Singing is absolutely wonderful. Let's see some more of the comments in the live chat about what items you bring to the tree park to prepare, and also what type of quick holiday decorations you do. Sandy says, 6-foot artificial tree, good enough. I've had it for years and it's still good. Yes, that's the benefit of an artificial tree. If you get a good one, they look good for a very, very long time. Let's see some more of the great comments in there. Let's see. It's a bacon lights tree. Bob Bacon says his tree will have bacon lights. Oh boy. If anyone can find a strand of light that is the shape of bacon, send it to me on DM. I will feature it on this channel. I just can't imagine lights made out of bacons. Hello to everyone from Nevada, says Judith Batista. Hello, Judith Batista. And there's Joanne, and there's Jeffrey, and there's Mr. Black, and there's Andrea. Happy holidays. Happy holidays, Andrea. Charlotte Smith. There's Joanne as well, and there's Crayola. Crayola says omnicorn. Omnicorn, what is that? I don't know what omnicorn is. Is that a difference of the other type of corn? Andrea, can the government rush? The government has to rush because there is a big timeline, there's a big crunch, and there's a big concern. You're going to see it on Afternoons LA that the president's dealing with 2 problems. Now the new strain, and also the issue of his falling poll ratings. His poll ratings are really taking a big dive. Tabitha says, I get the big mason jars filled with potpourri. Oh, this sounds good. This is from Tabitha Westbrook. I get the big mason jars filled with potpourri, and then I add a small string of Christmas lights. Makes the house smell amazing. Wow. I guess Tabitha means that the holiday lights in the potpourri and the mason jars helps ignite the scent and the odor. Sounds wonderful. There's Janet says, yes, keep on advocating. If you didn't see what I said earlier in this video, Janet's comments a comment is pinned on this video. I don't think I've ever pinned a comment because it's such a great one. Omicron is the name of the new strain. I did not know that. I know thank you for Crayola for the name of that. The official name is B11529. The debt ceiling is coming up soon. Bonnie Cal, that's absolutely true. Here's Anne. Fill a glass bowl with blue beads and rock salt and place a candle in it. I like that. I like that. I like everything with the rock salt. Very, very fascinating items across the board. Here's Margaret. I like the flocked tree. I'm going to use my Mickey lights this year and on my porch with the Mickey lights from my outdoors. That sounds wonderful. Sounds absolutely wonderful. There's Nancy Crump. I just sent Schumer and Bernie an email. Good. Voicemail is the best. Remember, voicemail is the best. Well, talking on the phone to a live person is the best. But voicemail is the second best. Remember the hierarchy, talking to a live representative, second, leaving a voicemail, and then after that, the next one after that is email. There's Donnie. Hello, Donnie. Happy holidays. Let's see some more of your comments. Hi, everyone, and happy holidays. And Purple Power says Thelma. Hello, Thelma. And there's Shirley. And there is also Jeffrey Smith. Denise Brown with the beautiful Christmas trees in her message as well. So what did we learn in this recording? We learned, one, that when decorating for the holiday season, don't stress out because some of the simplest decorating is some of the most beautiful. And in this recording, we showed that simply taking beads and throwing it into a flat or very open plate or bowl and putting on a holiday table is easy. Use the same color scheme for all the bowls. Don't use more than 2 colors. Keep them complementary. Don't use clown holes. Here we've had glass beads and also strand beads, Mardi Gras beads. Both work. Make sure they're clean. Wash them off with some water and dry before using them so they reflect the light. We had some viewers in the live chat who had some great suggestions, with one viewer with a mason bowl, potpourri, and lights in them, and had some great suggestions with using rock salt. Very fascinating. Then also in this video, we talked about how to buy a tree and why this weekend's a good weekend to buy the tree. Going to the tree park, bring the scissor to cut open the strand, bring the tape measure. I went over how to measure out to get the tree ahead of time and which tree to buy based upon that measurements. And then how to prepare the tree stand with the wrench and how to tighten with the wrench. Safety during the holidays is a very big issue, and you never want to have a tree take its own life form. Then we also covered all the details of fourth stimulus and third stimulus, student loan debt forgiveness and fifth stimulus. But for more details on those subject matters, join me next on Afternoons LA at 1 o'clock. This video will automatically take you there. We have a big new afternoon show at 3 o'clock, and then the big evenings LA at 5 o'clock. And just so much excitement across the board. And then join me later today as you will see also a clip of the new, highly anticipated show of Sirloin, Javita Light, and Blaine 66 all in the same house. And with that, subscribe. At 400,000 subscribers YouTube record, I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video and become a member so you get the incredible newsletter. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next on the 1 o'clock Afternoons LA. Have a beautiful holidays.
Thank you.